Hey girls, it's Kristen and Bethany here with Girl Defined Ministries, and in today's vlog, we want to share with you 6 guys you shouldn't date, court, or marry. I remember being a young girl and kind of thinking that every guy was probably pretty much amazing and thinking that, oh, when I grow up, it'll be, kind of easy to find like an awesome, godly guy. Then I hit 18, 19, 20 and realized, you know what? There are a lot of really awesome, godly guys out there, but there are also a lot that are just not quite so awesome, just in their journey of life and spiritual journey, not quite where they need to be. And I have learned, we both had learned, from back in the old days, back when you were young, and before you met and married Zach. You've been in relationships. Yeah. I have been in relationships, and I realized that there are certain types of guys that I do not want to date, court, or marry. And we want to tell you about these 6 guys that you shouldn't date, court, or marry. Okay, so guy number 1 that you shouldn't date, court, or marry is this: Mr. Talk. Mr. Talk is also known as Mr. Smooth. He's the guy that can say he can talk the talk, but he might not necessarily be walking the walk. So for example, he might say, yeah, I love the Lord. I love going to church. I love getting involved. I love reading my Bible. But behind the scenes, he isn't actually really doing those things. He's not consistently going to church, and he's not consistently reading his Bible. Another example might be, he might say, I value purity. I love what God's word says about purity. I'm on board. I'm all about it. But then in the relationship, he's the one constantly, subtly tempting you to compromise, or he's compromising himself. So Mr. Talk is the guy that can say all the right things, but he isn't actually living the life to back it up. And talk is cheap. If you're just giving talk, but you're not putting the action behind it, then you need to be very, very cautious of a guy like that. And guy number 2 is Mr. Anger. This is the guy that gets set off by really small things. It might just be driving in a car and someone just barely comes in his other lane and he gets blows up and gets really mad. Or you say something like, hey, what about this? And then he's like, oh, why do you want to do that? It's a guy that just does not have control of his temper, does not have control over his tongue and his mouth and what he's thinking, and it just, like a volcano, blows up. And I would caution you, be very, very careful with a guy like that. We have known some like that, and I personally would never date, court, or marry a Mr. Anger, and I would encourage you not to either. And guy number 3 that you definitely shouldn't date, court, or marry is Mr. Struggle. Now, we all have our struggles in life, right? But we're talking about here with Mr. Struggle is a guy who's struggling with big things, and he always says, I'm trying, I'll do better next time, I promise I'm going to overcome this sin, I promise I'm going to get better in this area. But as his track record continues, he never actually overcomes those struggles. So for example, maybe pornography, maybe irresponsible spending, maybe just not getting places on time ever, or really managing the relationships in his life or his responsibilities very well. He's just always struggling, but always telling you that he's going to do better, that he's going to get over it. So we highly caution you with a guy that's really struggling, because if you're the only accountability partner in this guy's life, if he's saying, I'm struggling, but I'm going to get over it, can you just help me? You need to help me. That is not a good setup. This guy, if he's serious about overcoming his sin, he's going to make the steps and take the steps to go find an older, godlier man in his church who can hold him accountable and really get serious about helping him overcome his struggles. So we caution you, be very careful with a guy who is always struggling but never overcoming them. And number 4 is Mr. Obsessed. And now I've been around guys who are pretty much obsessed with me. They are, I'm basically the most important thing in their entire world. And you know what? Honestly, it is kind of flattering. And if you've been there, you know what I'm talking about. It's, who doesn't like a guy giving you so much attention and just basically treating you like you're the queen of the entire world? I mean, that's pretty amazing. And of course, it's not wrong to be loved and cherished, but we're talking about a guy who is literally obsessed with you. You are even more important than God. You basically, as the girl, become the God of his life. And that is an idol. That is totally out of order. God needs to be the most important person in his life. So if you are around a Mr. Obsessed and you can tell that you are the most important person in his life, I would really caution you, because this is someone that I would not date, court, or marry, despite how flattering it may seem. So I would just encourage you to be very careful around a Mr. Obsessed. And guy number 5 is Mr. Pressure. Mr. Pressure is the guy who is always putting pressure on you to do things that maybe you shouldn't do, areas of compromise where you're like, I'm not really sure if that's the right thing. And he's like, come on, just do it. It's not a big deal. Mr. Pressures are everywhere, and we've talked to girls who feel that pressure in the relationship, and they actually feel like if they don't give in to what this guy wants, then he's going to leave them. That in order to sustain the relationship, they basically have to do everything he wants them to do. And girls, that is not a healthy relationship. That is not a guy that's caring about you more than he's caring about himself. Mr. Pressure cares more about himself. He wants to get what he wants, and he wants you to help him get that. He doesn't care as much about honoring God and pushing you closer to the Lord. So we highly caution you against dating, courting, or even marrying a Mr. Pressure.
And guy number 6 is Mr. Unsaved. Now, this is the type of guy. He's cute, he's gentlemanly, he's nice, he
charming.
brings you gifts. He is just like the package deal. Except one problem. He's not a Christian. He is Mr. Unsaved.
Yeah.
And now, girls, I don't care how cute he is. I don't care if he is literally like the hottest thing that you've ever seen in your entire life with the best muscles, whatever it is, you are just like dropping dead in his presence. If he is not a Christian, the Bible makes it very clear that you should not marry him. So this is not like a, well, maybe, I mean, but he's really nice. I mean, but what if he comes to church with me? No. If this guy is not a Christian, if he is a Mr. Unsaved, there is no compromising here. This is an automatic no, and the Bible makes that very, very clear. So Mr. Unsaved is someone that you should never, under any circumstances, no matter what, date, court, or marry.
So there you have it. The 6 guys that we want to really caution you against dating, courting, or marrying. Now, girls, we also understand that there's a wide variety of issues out there, right? There's a lot more than even what we named right here. And we're all in different seasons and stages in our journey. We all have sin struggles. But what we're talking about with these 6 guys are guys who are dead set in their ways in these areas, and they're not changing. They're not seeking accountability. Their track record has always been the same, and it isn't changing moving forward. In those circumstances, we want you to be very cautious and very careful about the relationship. And in these situations, the 6 guys we just mentioned, it might be wise to break off the relationship or seek some really wise outside counsel. Not in a video, but someone in your church, someone that's very godly that you trust, and ask them, hey, here's my situation. What should I do? Regardless, though, in any relationship, even if you're thinking about a guy and he hasn't maybe asked you out or whatever, we encourage you to seek wise counsel. Find, whether it's your parents, an older mentor, someone very wise in your church that has a biblical perspective on these things. Seek their counsel and welcome their input.
Thanks so much for watching this video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more from us, subscribe to our channel below. We post new videos every Wednesday.
I thought I was going.
6 guys you don't want to.
I thought you weren't going to say that. I thought I wasn't either. What am I going to say again?
Let's go climb a mountain.
Yes.
Wow, keeping it short.
Yeah. Another example might be Mr. Talk might say, no! I was like, what am I going to say? I can't think of an example.
Very difficult if you know that I'm saying nothing and this is retarded.
George, you were on a roll.
It was not. I know, but that was I was going nowhere. I knew it was a dead end.
I hate when I start sentences that are dead ends.
Dun, 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 boom, boom.